Now at 10, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
And the news at 10 begins in Woodstock tonight, where state police say they have surrounded a number of suspects believed to have been involved in a home invasion gone wrong. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. A home on Woodstock Road has become the center of an hours-long standoff. All of this started around noon. Traffic has been blocked on Prospect Road at the intersection of Route 197, along with County Road at the intersection of Woodstock Road. Neighbors were told to evacuate their homes.
Now, there is still a heavy police presence tonight, and here's what we know so far. Officials say they were called at 11:58 a.m. about an active burglary at a home on Woodstock Road. The woman told dispatchers that several unknown people broke into her home with baseball bats. That woman was able to escape and is safe with police. But police believe a number of the burglars are still in her home. At some point this afternoon, one of the suspects involved surrendered and was arrested. State police say he is cooperating, but the rest are believed to still be inside. State police have been waiting for them for nearly 10 hours now.
All efforts are being made for a peaceful resolution to get the other individuals who are currently believed to be inside the residence to come out peacefully. The State Police Tactical Unit is on scene with other resources being used to include the drone unit and the negotiator team.
No injuries have been reported. Fox 61 has a crew near the scene to monitor for any updates, and we'll bring you new information as it becomes available. To our other top story tonight, rain moving in across the state tonight and sticking around well into your morning commute.
Yeah, taking a look at the live radar now, you can see storms across Connecticut, but now there are concerns for some flooding with the rain moving in the next couple of days.
Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank now for the latest on this. Rach?
Yeah, the biggest concern, I think, for the potential for some flooding issues will be in southeastern Connecticut, where we already have bands of heavy rain setting up. Meanwhile, the rest of the state also getting rain, but it should be more manageable amounts. So we'll see periods of rain right now all the way through this time tomorrow night. We're looking at anywhere between a half an inch of rain to an inch or two for most of the state, but there could be a narrow band of 2 to 4 inches. And again, we think eastern or southeastern Connecticut has the best chance of that, where there could be some isolated poor drainage and flash flooding issues. So we'll be watching that. And again, I just wanted to show you the area that may be of greatest concern here as we head towards the morning drive. So check in with the Fox 61 Morning Show crew. They'll let you know if there's any trouble spots out there. But here's where it's raining right now. Raining at a good clip. Ledyard, Montville, Sprague, Plainfield, all the way down through Clinton and Madison. Meanwhile, it's barely raining in the Hartford area. There's just a few sprinkles, so it just depends on where you are, but we'll continue to see these waves of rain coming in off the ocean and kind of pivoting on through. And I wanted to stop at 6 a.m. just to show you that some areas on the drive to work and school will just be dealing with rain, while others could be dealing with heavy rain. So it really just depends on where you are. Either way, we're in the 60s again tomorrow. I think it's wetter than it was outside today, and that rain ending later tomorrow night. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Friday looks awesome. We'll talk about if that weather sticks into the weekend coming up.
All right, Rachel, thank you. Well, officials in Bristol meeting tonight about what has become the squawk of the town, thousands of nuisance geese that have been causing quite a headache for residents there. And tonight, the Park Commission met to discuss how to keep the geese from overrunning parts of the city and how to clean up after them. Fox 61's Jake Garcia was at tonight's meeting. He joins us now live from Bristol. So, Jake, have the Parks and Recreation officials made a final call?
They have, Brent, or kind of, sort of, to explain. Hard to explain, but we're going to do our best to try to wrap it up for you here. So the geese management plan by city officials will now head to the policy committee, where it will be taken up for consideration. But as far as what they're going to do specifically to address the geese, still remains a mystery tonight.
I've been in this town my whole life, and I've walked that boulevard for 20 years. And there's goose stuff around. You just walk around it.
Over 12,000 Canada geese flocking across the city of Bristol, and residents are fed up.
Bristol's not the only city that's dealing with an overrun of what they call nuisance geese that don't migrate any longer. So the problem's been building over time.
An initial proposal to euthanize a large number of geese was met with public outrage. So now the city is looking at other ways to address the issue of the gaggle of geese and the droppings they leave behind. During Wednesday's meeting, the commission was presented with several ways to keep the geese at bay. Everything from sprays to fences to lasers and dogs. Officials heard each option and the attached price tag, but animal advocates say just looking at dollars and cents is not how the city should approach this.
If they're looking at dollars only, I think it's a mistake. I think they have to look at what's actually going to solve the problem.
We will send this back to our policy committee. We have limited funds to deal with this. You know, this is not a typical line item in a city budget. So what we will likely do now is look at those limited funds and see what non-lethal measures are going to make an appreciable difference.
There's one option that advocates and city leaders agree on, but it comes with a hefty price.
Riparian buffers, which basically create little hills and grassy areas around the water. It's better for filtration, ecologically it's good, and the geese are very picky.
And while it's a solution for Memorial Boulevard, city officials worry the geese would just flock to another park. The mayor says there is a financially responsible way to install these buffers at several city parks.
There are environmental grants that will allow us to get some money to do that because it's got a dual effect. It kind of keeps the geese out, but it also helps with water filtration. So we're going to go after some of those grants and see if we can do that at the Boulevard and a couple of other parks around the city.
And city officials have agreed on a short-term solution here. They agreed to use a small street cleaning and vacuum truck to clean up the park's sidewalks. Final decision on the geese issue will not likely be taken up until after the summer. Reporting live in Bristol, Jake Garcia, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Jake, thank you. Well, more than a year after the Electric Blue Strip Club in Tolland was briefly shut down over allegations of prostitution, the owner, manager, and bouncer are now facing federal charges. A 12-count indictment alleges Electric Blue had a semi-private lap dance room and VIP rooms where dancers regularly performed sex acts for customers. The indictment says customers were charged additional fees for these rooms, and it alleges the money collected was used to fund Kenneth Denning's personal expenditures. Denning and Joshua Baker also allegedly provided false information to the club's tax return preparer for 3 years, underpaying by more than $2 million. Additionally, the trio were involved in hiring dancers who were not legally allowed to live or work in this country. Any employee or dancer at Electric Blue who's been a victim of unlawful acts is encouraged to call the U.S. Attorney's Office Victims Advocate.
An update to bring you out of Portland. Town officials say the teen struck by a pickup truck while crossing a street is expected to survive. First Selectman Ryan Curley says the boy has a broken femur and pelvis. He underwent surgery today and his injuries are not life-threatening. The crash happened just after 5:30 last night. Officials say the driver of the pickup stayed on scene and is cooperating with the investigation. The driver has not been charged.
And new at 10, New Britain police tell us one of their officers had to be taken to a hospital today after a teenager crashed into their cruiser. It happened this afternoon on East Street. Police tell us a 17-year-old girl was speeding on East Street when her car began to spin out while taking a turn. Several cars were hit, including that police cruiser. The officer had minor injuries and was taken to a hospital for treatment. No other injuries were reported. There's no word yet whether the teenager faces any charges.
Governor Lamont today signed into law new financial support for the families of police officers who die in the line of duty. He put pen to paper at the Connecticut Police Memorial in Meriden on Peace Officers Memorial Day. The legislation establishes the Fallen Officer Fund. This will give a lump sum, non-taxable payment of $100,000 and extended health insurance coverage to any local or state police officers, survivors, or beneficiaries. The governor also signed bills concerning use of police body cameras, one establishing a no-wake zone on the Pawcatuck River, and an act concerning nursing home waiting lists.
Well, today's rain hasn't been enough to cause widespread flooding, but for residents of Job's Pond in Portland, every drop makes it harder to keep their heads above water. Homeowners are still at risk of losing their homes. Fox 61's Matt Karen is in Portland to see if any progress has been made.
Well, the rain that is coming down right now is a nightmare scenario for these residents. I wish I could tell you the water level has receded. It has only gotten worse. And you have to remember, this private pond is fed by runoff, culverts, and underground glacial springs. That's a lot of water coming in with no place for it to go. It's been 3 weeks since you last saw Job's Pond in Portland. The water is higher.
He's trying to fight the battle.
So too is the anxiety.
It's devastating. You see the water coming in. You see all the work you've done to try to make your home better, and you see things just crumbling.
8 homes now sit abandoned. Those still afloat are holding on to hope.
All we can do is hope.
And holding on to each other. Bracing for another round of rain.
Whatever may come tonight could bring this up significantly higher.
But it isn't all bad news.
I promise you, there are a lot of people working on this at the state, local, and the federal level.
Portland First Selectman Ryan Curley told Fox 61 3/4 of the funding needed to begin pumping has come through. Government moving fast, but not fast enough.
It's starting to encompass houses.
We've put in hundreds and hundreds of sandbags.
The temporary fix will deploy 2 pumps capable of moving 10,000 gallons of water a minute through piping into the Connecticut River. While engineers work to start that project, they are simultaneously brainstorming a long-term fix.
They would be digging a pipeline from the pond either to a retention pond or out even further, maybe even to the river. And so it would be gravity fed, and if the water level rose to a certain level, the water would just flow out and this would not happen again.
As for that still missing portion of funding, the State Department of Energy and Environmental Protection sent me a statement that reads in part, quote, DEEP is attempting to identify funding to be used as a non-federal match. But remember that even once all the funding comes in, officials still need to make sure that legal agreements are in place with all of the private property owners who would be affected by that temporary pumping pipeline. Reporting in Portland on Job's Pond, Matt Caron, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.